because LEGO couldn't do an interesting 2-in-1 build, I had to. Hello TBC people and welcome back to another video. And in last week's video when I reviewed all the new 2023 Ninjago core sets, which would be releasing next year in January, I was pretty judgmental towards a couple of those sets, one of which was the Ice Dragon set. This was because they chose to make it a 2-in-1 build, but instead of making it something interesting, using the joints they already had, they chose to make it into a mech suit, which got me pretty frustrated. But with that, I also started thinking, what could LEGO actually turn a dragon into, other than a mech? And so, using Lloyd's Green NRG Dragon from a couple years ago from the Day of the Departed wave, I chose to make an alternate build in the form of this, Lloyd's Dragon base. So let's get started. Also, for this MOC this time around, I chose to focus more on play features and stuff like that, rather than just overall design and durability, I guess. So yeah, let's get started. So with all of my MOCs, I had a couple criteria that I needed to fulfill. One was that it needed to include a vehicle, because that's what most of Ninjago core sets do. Another was that it needs to feature energy elements throughout, and that's just something I do for most of my MOCs, depending on whatever ninja it's based around. And the last of the criteria was that it needed to only use parts from the Green NRG Dragon itself. It couldn't use any of the side builds. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so before going into the actual integrated things onto this base MOC, I do just want to point out that I wanted to make this an Evo set, meaning that it had an evolution feature, meaning that you could add stuff on and take stuff off. So it's a modular build, basically. And that's just because that Ninjago core is very well known for their Evo sets, such as their dragons and vehicles. And so, removing all of the evolutive stuff, including that training course thing, this other training course thing, the little vehicle, and another training course thing, this is what you are left with. Alright, so starting off in the back here, you guys can see that I've attached the dragon wings that came on the dragon. And I've kept the transformation feature, just because I think that was a really nice play feature. And I still think that it works for even just like a dragon base like this one. And so it can still go up, close up, and contract, or it can expand, and you guys can see the individual membranes, I guess. And that's sort of, in my eyes, that's sort of meant to be sort of a protection, word of protection. And it also makes sort of like a little gate for Lloyd to enter through. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But with these wings, I actually kept them the exact same as the way they came in the set. I literally just pulled them apart, and I kept the attachment system as well, which are just these massive ball joints here. And I kept those exactly the same, didn't change a single thing. But I do prefer them standing up, just because if I put them lying down, I had some weighting issues before. Like, it's a lot better now, but yeah, before I had quite a bit of weight issues. So yeah, that's what's in the back. Alright, so in front of those wings is the actual platform, and my main inspiration for this platform was actually that movie maker set we got with the Ninjago movie a couple years ago. It provided a really nice sort of base for you to film your stuff on, and I wanted to recreate that. But with the parts limitation, since I had to use parts from the dragon, this doesn't have much structural integrity. Like, if I shake this around just a tiny bit, it starts to come off. But yeah, it's there. Anyways, this entire base is actually double layered, or more than double layered in certain areas. As you guys can see back here, it's double layered plus a brick, and as it moves further forward, you guys can see it just gets double layered. And I'm very happy with the way that turned out, especially considering the limited parts I had. I used the little pieces here that I think they were used on the legs. Yep, they were used on the legs, and I added them just as like an expansion way, just so I could add on the modular parts after that. So yeah, but anyways, back here we just got a couple just a couple plates just stacked up, and then here we have stud shooters as well as jade blades. And the main play feature for this set is that you're actually meant to put your Lloyd minifigure here, and then as you fire the stud shooter, you're meant to try and dodge it. And you can do that on both sides, and then after that you can try and dodge the jade blades for Lloyd, even though there's not really a play feature there. But yeah, I just thought that would be something that kids could kind of enjoy, and I think that it's a good play feature in my opinion. But yeah, in terms of just building techniques and stuff like that, very simple overall. I've just tried to include as many slopes as I can, just to make it look really nice and really smooth transitioning through each piece, I guess. But yeah, very simple overall. And in front here, you guys can see that there are two jumper plates, and that is actually for attaching the first modular thing, which I'll show you guys later on. But anyways, without anything on, you guys can see that there's quite a bit of standing area for Lloyd, and if you guys have other ninjas, you can easily just add them on as well. By the way, this is a custom Lloyd by me. It's just using Hands of Time, torso, legs, and then the final battles, mask, and the shoulder armor, as well as just the movie Lloyd face. Very simple, but I think it looks pretty nice. Alright, so that's pretty much the entire just base by itself. Very simple overall, but I forgot to mention that over here we have some hinges, and that is for attaching one of the modular elements later on as well. So we'll get to that soon. Alright, so starting off with the first element that I designed to be added on is actually one of these right here. This is meant to be sort of similar to what we saw in season 1 in the monastery there. It's meant to be one of those training dummies which kind of spins around, and then you need to try not to get hit by it. And so if I put in a Lloyd here, you guys can see how if I turn it, he gets hit. And so the aim of this is that you want to try and get Lloyd into a position in which he doesn't actually get hit. So you can duck him down like this, and then just turn it like that, and you guys can see that it does not actually hit him. In terms of the mechanism, it's literally just a single stud, and then I just click that on, and then you can just turn it like that. But it is also a single stud up here, so sometimes it turns up there. So yeah, it's nothing really that great. It puts a lot of stress on the stud, but considering the parts limitation, this was probably the best way I could do it. But in terms of what's actually on the little punching bag thing, you guys can see it's just some ratchet joints connected with the... None of my MOCs are quality controlled, so they will break apart quite easily. But it's part of the saddle, connected on both sides, and yeah, I just really wanted to make it look very even. You guys can see I've added chains there as well, and then you guys can level them up in terms of difficulty, so that higher up is easier for Lloyd to dodge, and then you can slowly just lower them down. Yeah, that's just kind of what I thought of. And then in terms of the stack of bricks underneath, these are like the actual only bricks that are included in the set besides the translucent ones. And so I just kind of layered them all up here, and then added the jumper plate on there, add that on, and then connect this to the jumper plate down there. Alright, so moving further back, the second modular element that I designed was this thing over here. This is meant to be sort of a weight thing that Lloyd can try and push up, and you can just simulate sort of a bad guy trying to hit him and knock him down. And so if I just put Lloyd here, you guys can see how it's just sort of meant to replicate him getting knocked down. Yeah. In terms of the building itself, this is actually my favorite one of the modular builds. You guys can see I've added a lot of slopes there, and it just makes it look really, really clean overall in my opinion. There's a nice angle there, and I've used the big fig arm that came with the set. I'm really happy that they came with big fig arms, because I'm not sure what else I would have used. I think this was really just the main inspiration for this little side build, as well as another one. So yeah, underneath it, you guys can see I have a slight slope there, and yeah, it attaches via ball joint, so that you can move it up and down, depending on how much pressure you want attacking Lloyd, and that is all built onto a trans green brick. So yeah, pretty simple. But I will just say, in terms of building, it actually comes apart quite easily, mainly because this is just so heavy and the weight is out here. So this little 2x1 brick needs to take all of that weight from there and try and balance it onto that tiny brick. But attaching that on, I'll just give you another demonstration once more. And then if I put Lloyd here and put his arms sort of up, you guys can see that he's just trying to push it upwards, I guess. And then now we can move on to the third part, which is this little contraption here. Now I'll probably get rid of it first, just the entire base first, so that you guys can have a closer look at this. Since it is pretty hard, there's very limited space on there, so yeah, it's much easier to just do this. But this is meant to be a sort of training, board breaking practice assembly, I guess, for Lloyd. And you guys can see here on each side there's a little board, and then there's a punching bag in the middle, and then another board up top, so that you can practice all kinds of kicks and stuff like that. And so with the one on the right, since it's a little higher up, you're meant to get Lloyd and then hit it downwards if you can, and I did just then. And with the one on the left, since it's lower, you want to practice his higher kicks, so you can kick upwards, and yep, that's how that works. And then you try and kick the one on top, which goes up, and then you want to kick it back down with the other foot. And then after that, you want to get Lloyd's arm up and get him to do a pull-up. It does come apart pretty easily, but you want to try and get him to do a pull-up. And then once he's done with that, he can just practice basic punching, just on the punching bag over here. And yeah, pretty simple stuff, but I really do like this build. It's a very simple one, but I think that kids would really enjoy it if they had this in a set. in my opinion anyways. And to attach it to the actual base sort of area, just need to attach it onto the edge here. And yeah, that's how that works. Now, we'll just note that in terms of colors for this specific build, it has a lot more when compared to these other two. And that's because I took apart the head after I did these two builds. And so I didn't know there was actually this much lime green that came in the sets. But yeah, I really do like the lime green. It's a really nice touch. And tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Now let's move on to the last of the modular attachments. And that of course is the promised vehicle for Lloyd. And so this is a little jet ski I added for Lloyd. It was actually made out of just some spare parts that I had left over. I actually have a lot of spare parts just left over from building this. But here is his little vehicle. As I said before, I needed to add a vehicle in for it to be a core set. So pretty simple overall. I really tried to get nice colors on this guy. So you guys can see there's also gold, dark greens, and normal greens, and even some lime green throughout. And in terms of just raw colors by itself, this is definitely the nicest build of them all. Back here, you guys can see that there is this little jet booster, and that is attached via a dual ball joint hinge, so it can only go up or down. But it's a fairly smooth movement, and I really do like that. And you guys can do it here so that you can change direction depending on which direction Lloyd is going. All it needs to do is turn around in the vehicle. There's some nice blades on the side, little steering wheel which came with the saddle originally, and then I added his logo onto the jet ski as well. And in my opinion, if Lego made a set just like the jet ski by itself, it could easily sell as a poly bag. I don't think anyone would complain with that. They did something similar with Cole's vehicle back in the day, but that one had a little more parts, so maybe they would complain for a bit more parts. But besides that, it's a fine vehicle in my opinion. And for Lloyd to enter their vehicle, all you need to do is make him stand up, because you can't actually sit down in the vehicle. There's not enough space for that. But you can get him to stand up and then just sort of pretend that he's gripping onto there. The area between the two handlebars is a little too small, so you can't really get him to fully touch it. But this is good enough for me, and I think it looks good enough as well. And as you guys can see, there are clip hinges. And so coming back to the main build where there are also clip hinges, you can easily just clip them on so that it's attached to the main build. And I think that was a really nice decision of mine. And then there are actually clip hinges on both sides of both the boat and the actual building. So you can do that on both sides depending on whichever side you want. So overall, my general thoughts on this mock of mine is that I achieved the playability feature quite well. There's lots of modular elements, so kids would really enjoy playing with this. There's lots of playable elements as well, like the boards, as well as the little arm here and the spinning thing here, and even just the boat. Kids would really enjoy something like that in a set. And so overall, I think that I really did well on this mock. And just in general, as just like a general thing about mocks, I think I've gotten a lot better since the start of my mock journey. I believe my first mock was that Technic one, so that one doesn't really count. But just in terms of like the building techniques I've used in this set as opposed to what I used in the Thunder Dragon Evo set, while that is a simpler set, I think I have used a lot better building techniques here. Tell me what you guys think down below. And with that said, I will see you guys next week for another video.